from around 8:30 in the morning with a business taking place at the Rwenzori Convention Center in Munyonyo. And of course, we've also been having a lot of other things that have been happening. We have a business and East African Community Business and Investment Forum that's currently going on at Serena Hotel here in Kampala. And also we expect various high-profile dignitaries to be coming into the country to attend this summit. And we've got our crew on standby at Entebbe International Airport. That is Onyango Robert at the VVIP terminal. But also we've got Wadulo Mark Arnold, who's also at Entebbe International Airport, and they are ready to give us everything as it unfolds there, which head of state has arrived, which other foreign delegations have arrived. They'll be giving us what is going on there. But also, it's not only TV that is there. We've also got our radio friends who will also be giving us the updates on our radio. We've also got another crew at Munyonyo, and that is Timothy Nyangweso. Timothy Nyangweso will be giving us updates as far as the happenings at Munyonyo are, to be concerned with. And we've also got the Hotel Africana crew. That is the media command center. That is where all the media from all other countries have come and converged to be giving the proceedings of this meeting to their respective countries. So we are all set, and we've been doing everything that we can to give you a 360-degree coverage of this summit. And this is day 3, and we are almost we're in the other half now, the final half of day 3, as far as this summit is concerned. And right about now, shortly we'll be taking you to back to Serena, where the East African Trade and Investment Forum is taking place. But the other thing that we as Ugandans should know, that it is not a simple task for a country to host such a meeting of that magnitude. And also, it is also something to be proud of as a nation, as a country, to have such a meeting. And it's not only that one, but we've also got the G77 plus China summit that will be taking place immediately after the NAM summit. So this is something that we should all be proud of. But the most important thing, why we should also be taking keen interest in what is going on at Serena, is because with such meetings of high magnitude like this come opportunities of trade and business and investment. And that is why this business forum is taking place at Serena Hotel, where different leaders, different businessmen have converged, have met, and they're trying to come together to see how they can invest and do business with other people from different countries. So I can see we've got the feed from Serena. Let's go back to Serena, and then we hear what is going on. But we shall also be coming back, and later on we'll be going to Munyonyo to also give you what is going on there.
Similarly, we also talked about how the impact investor who look for investment opportunity could invest in Africa. Again, I highlighted the importance of the impact investor could invest in education, health, and other sector. So we did actually mention, but probably not sufficiently elaborate that point. Also, the moderator asked me to highlight how UNDP actually, working with the different stakeholders in this country, promoting the trade, tourism, investment agenda in the recent years. Let me just take a minute to highlight that. We actually support working with the government, the number of strategy policy development. We work on the industrialization policy, AIFCT implementation strategy, ICT roadmap, tourism master plan, etc. That's one type of things. Then we also work with the capacity development and the advocacy support, working with the member-based organization like the Private Sector Foundation other member-based organizations through training, skill development, enhancing access to the, market, enhancing access to the financing, particularly the youth-owned, women-owned SMEs. We also actually, supporting the stakeholder, creating a platform, digital platform for market intelligence. We also actually supporting stakeholder, particularly government, evidence-based decision-making process, linking with this value chain analysis. What are the value chain analysis? Some of those strategically commodity by working with the FACEIT and other thing. We also doing with Ministry of Finance feasibility studies on number of areas. So these are some of the examples of how UNDP working with the different stakeholder to promote the trade, investment, tourism agenda in this country and also other East African country. Thank you.
A big hand clap to, we need your paper. I glanced through it. It's a really deep stick analysis of the environment. We need to work on the challenges though. But thank you very much, Professor. I'm going to invite for just 2 minutes. I know time is not on our side, but it's important. Don't go into the depths. Just tell the people here that East Africa is the best place to invest in. I know you have a thesis, but as you come, in a special way, I'd like to, please come, recognize the Honorable Minister of State for Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, Honorable Martin Mugara, who has just joined us. If you could stand for recognition. We had a whole half day on tourism and the opportunities therein, so just to assure you that we have taken care of your ministry. Bosco, in 1 minute, just get us the icing on the cake on this region. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm John Bosco Kalisa. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of East African Business Council. And first of all, I want to really congratulate the government of Uganda, people of Uganda, all the partners for organizing this excellent engagement. As moderator mentioned, I want to give you just two important things. One is that we need to enable the private sector to drive growth and prosperity we want. Let me give you an example. Yesterday, I was here in the morning, listened to the government, and someone said, I'm disappointed. I came for this trade and investment forum to listen to the private sector and investor. But it was deliberate, it was intention, because the law of government is creating a conducive environment for the private sector to drive growth and prosperity. So in the same afternoon, I met a young lady, a Ugandan lady. She told me, we are tired of managing poverty. I said, what? We are tired of managing poverty. He said, we want jobs, and we want jobs. And where are the jobs coming from? And I want to thank eminent panelists, especially the chair of PSFU and Honorable Wabogo, in terms of identifying those sectors that would generate prosperity for the youth. Congratulations, Stephen. Congratulations, PSFU. So with that, as the East African Business Council, it is our mandate to advocate for borderless East Africa for trade and investment. Borderless East Africa for trade and investment. And we are doing that by having a strong national focal point, such as PSFU, such as Tanzania Private Sector Foundation, Rwanda Private Sector Federation, the Akobo in Burundi, and South Sudan Chamber of Commerce. We are working with those networks. And KEPSA in Kenya. Those are our national networks. So, Stephen asked me, and everybody has been asking me, generally when COVID hit the world, I was here in Uganda. The World Bank had published the report that the COVID impact is going to create a recession for 25 years. But do you know the region that did not have a recession is only East Africa. And everyone has been asking me, what magic bullet do you use to survive a recession, to survive negative growth? And now we are posting 6% annual growth. There are three important aspects which I want to share with you. One was that our public-private partnership is working. Government and private sector, when there is a crisis, they sit together on the same table and address issues, be it policy issues, be it infrastructure issues, be it value chain issues. That was one of the magic bullets. The second magic bullet for the ES region, to withstand the economic shock, even currently, to withstand economic shock. The professor mentioned about it. And I will also do research like Ruabogo in terms of looking what are those driving pillars for East Africa. Why is East Africa now posting 7% growth, 6% growth, when other countries, globally, their growth is declining, but East Africa is growing. The second aspect was economic diversification. Our region is diversifying. Generally, I was looking at McKinsey. They are saying the next frontier, economic frontiers, are coming from East Africa. Rwanda, Uganda, and Tanzania, they are going to lead the whole world in terms of sophistication, in terms of products. The products are very sophisticated. You are producing with knowledge, with skills. And the third aspect was our deeper commitment to regional integration. EAC.
Yes, we are still continuing with this coverage of the 19th Non-Aligned Movement Summit 2024 that's taken place here in Uganda. And of course, that is what is on your screen there is, of course, the business, the East African Community Business and Investment Forum that's taking place at Serena a hotel here in Kampala. But also, as I told you earlier on, we expect arrivals of different delegations at Entebbe International Airport who will be coming to be part of this summit. And we understand shortly we shall be getting an update from there. We shall be getting an update from the airport. But right about now, we have an update from Onyango Robert, who is at Entebbe International Airport, the VVIP, to give us an update from there. Yes, of course, Onyango is at Entebbe International Airport and is ready to give us an update of what's happening, who we should expect to be arriving, and Onyango is ready.
Edward Kijanangoma back there at UBC at the broadcast house. Yes, I'm Robert Onyango, as you rightly said, and we are coming to you live from Entebbe International Airport. I'm here at the VVIP section, where we want to give you or share with the rest of the world watching us on what update is happening in this terminal. Of course, the arrangements are still going on to ensure that by the time or by that minute where we begin receiving high-end delegates or delegations, will be at the best moment to give you what we expect from not only us as UBC, but as the country at large. Preparations are going on, as I said, and we have seen these are ranging from those teams which are going to be mounting here the Guard of Honor have also already made their way into this place. We have seen those cultural, or those ones going to be taking us through the cultural performance. They have also already stationed themselves here at the VVIP terminal to ensure that by the time we begin off business today, they will be at that position to share with you most of the experiences and probably give you what really stands out when you mention the word Uganda? Oh, we have been told that many people who are coming in the country, they want to really have a feel of what we have always been telling them, that indeed we are the power of Africa. As UBC, we have also tried to make sure that we prepare our gadgets and equipment to ensure that by the time we begin off this assignment, then we will be in a position to deliver the best for you. For those who are following on our social media platforms, we have kept on at least updating you on what is exactly happening here. Last night, we did receive the Minister for Foreign Affairs and also the Vice Deputy Minister from the Republic of DRC, and that was Christophe Rutunduru, who came with a delegation of more than 5 or 4 people to ensure that they also try and come and represent their country. We are not sure whether the President of DRC will be making his way here, because we know he's also shortly preparing to at least go for the swearing in. We all know he has just been elected recently to serve almost his second term in office as a president. Then we shall be confirming such arrangements or changing program wherever we will be getting them. Then I'm told government has also lined up a team of more than 30 ministers to be coming here on almost a daily basis to receive these high-end dignitaries, including heads of state and heads of delegations. I was also reading somewhere, and they were telling us that these ministers, a few days ago, they are also continuing to do the rehearsals on what exactly is expected from them in as far as this arrangement. So, Kija, we can pause it from here for now, but we are saying keep your eyes on UBC for the latest and on-time updates from here at the VVIP terminal. Still, I'm Robert Onyango.
Thank you so much, Robert Onyango. Thank you very much, Robert, for that update from Entebbe International Airport. And of course, we know you are ready there to give us everything as it unfolds there. And of course, talking about the president of the Democratic Republic of Congo, who is supposed to be coming actually to be part of this summit, and of course being elected as the president once again to lead his country. So yes, the questions are still there. Is he coming? He's not coming, but he is president. The people have given him a vote of confidence once again, so we should expect him to be coming. And of course, as you clearly put it, so many other delegations will be coming, expecting a delegation from South Sudan to be coming, and so many other delegations that will be coming to attend this very, very important summit that officially opens tomorrow at the Rwenzori Convention Center at Munyonyo. And of course, we've always been having some people to come and join us here in the studio to give us updates, to tell us how they feel about this summit, what they think about the summit, what should and shouldn't be done, and so many of those things. And of course, we'll be expected to be, we expect to be joined in the studio by Honorable Professor Mshemeza Elijah Dickens. Now, Professor Elijah Mshemeza is a professor of political science, but he is also a member of Parliament for Shema South constituency, and we shall be talking with him, and he'll be giving us his view in as far as this 19th non-aligned movement summit is concerned. But also we shall be going to Munyonyo, because the ministerial conference is still taking place there. When we are ready to go live there, we shall definitely be going there. We shall be taking you there. And of course, so many other areas where we are best. As I told you, we have Entebbe International Airport, where Onyango Robert, who has just been giving us updates, is based, plus Wadulo, Mark Arnold, both of them are at Entebbe International Airport. We've got Timothy Nyangweso, who is at Rwenzori Convention Center in Munyonyo. We've also got Hotel Africana, where all the media is converged to give us and give their respective countries everything that is unfolding here in Uganda. And of course, right about now, we are We should be going to Serena, as you can see on your screen there. That is what is happening at Serena. Let me see what my producer can do about that. Serena. Oh yes, we shall be going to Serena shortly, but let's come and we interact. Let us interact with our guest, who is also here in the auditorium, our command center for the moment. That is Professor Mushemeza Elijah Dickens, and as I said, he's a professor of political science and a member of parliament for Shema South constituency. Definitely he has a stake in this as a legislator and a politician at that. So good afternoon, sir, and welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
It's a pleasure having you here in our UBC auditorium. Of course, we are talking about the Non-Aligned Movement Summit that's taking place here in Uganda, and a lot has been taking place. This is the third day of the summit, and so much has been talked about, looking at climate change, looking at democracy, looking at good governance, and so many other things. But of course, we would like to pick your mind on some of the things that are going on, as I've just said, climate change, issue of democracy, given the fact that these countries come from different regions. What is your take on these two topics for now, democracy and climate change?
Good afternoon, viewers. Before I make a comment on issues of climate change and democracy, I think it's important for our viewers to understand how the Non-Aligned Movement came into existence. This is an organization that came out of the Cold War, a time when some countries were aligned to the United States as a superpower, while others were aligned to the Soviet Union as a superpower. At that time, there was a feeling from some countries that their interests could not be met by aligning to any of those blocks. We are talking of economic, social, political, and cultural interests. So even when the Cold War ended, the fight, which was not physical, and that's why it was called the Cold War, when the fight ended, countries continued to promote their interests along those lines, so that you make a friend according to your interests. One time, the late Julius Nyerere, the president of Tanzania, made a very historical statement that we shall not allow our friends to determine who our enemies are. So, you may be my friend, but I will not allow you to say, that is an enemy for you. We relate according to our interests. And if you look back on the lectures of President Museveni in his early days in the presidency, he would say, we are not pro-West, we are not pro-East, we are pro-Uganda. Meaning that you serve your interests, you relate to countries elsewhere in the world according to your interests. Really, that background is very important. So when you are talking of democracy, then you see, how do non-aligned countries conceptualize democracy? Democracy is not just having political powers per se. For us political scientists, we have defined democracy, particularly political democracy, to mean three important things: respect of civil liberties, encouraging popular participation, and competition. So those three elements are important. Is there competition in your governance? Do you allow as many groups to participate in the governance of the country? What about the rights of the people? So non-aligned movement, as far as I understand it, is very critical on those three elements. How are you governing your country? Are you allowing as many people to participate in the governance of the country? Are you allowing competition, free competition? What about the rights of people? Now, a true non-aligned country should respect those principles. They are very, very critical in terms of democracy.
Thank you so much, Professor. And of course, those are very critical indeed, democracy and how do you govern your country, you know, as a president, as a leader. So it is very, very critical. And of course, as Professor Mshemeza rightly puts it, that is why the non-aligned movement is in place. That is why it started. And of course, one would even ask, Professor, that could these people be, you know, desperate? Because since they come from different countries, you know, with completely different political interests, do you think there could be some desperation somewhere? As far as
I wouldn't want to call it desperation, because these countries know what they want. Maybe we could say anxiety. They are anxious that through cooperation, through learning from one another, they can transform their societies to a better level. I would say there is anxiety to gain from cooperation, because different countries in the non-aligned movement at different levels of development. Some are better in science and technology, while others have different expertise. So by cooperating and learning one another, there is something they can achieve. So every time they meet, there is that anxiety. What can I pick from this summit? Not desperation, but I would call it anxiety, and positive anxiety.
Professor, of course, when you look at the composition of NAM, the member states, you find that it encompasses other nations from the developed world, less developed world, the developing world. They are all in there. You see, there are many African nations in the non-aligned movement. So isn't there any fear that probably some of these countries, especially the least developed ones, can actually be stumbled upon in as far as, you know, when the resolutions come out, and you know, there is always something that happens when the big dog barks. These are the small ones don't.
No, you see, the common denominator actually is that NAM countries are still developing. That's the common denominator. I wouldn't see a country like Uganda fearing India. Yes, India is at a certain level of development, far from us, but they have not reached the level of United Kingdom or Germany, India. So there isn't a fear. And you can see even outside non-aligned movement, you have heard of the BRICS, an attempt to have a sort of a World Bank developed or built on a different narrative. That is not the fear of that others are going to trample on you. Actually, it is that desire that even within the non-aligned movement, there are many things to learn from each other. That's how I see it. You don't see really Uganda fearing India. You don't see Uganda fearing Egypt. But there is that anxiety, as I said, to learn from one another. I don't see that fear of being trampled on. I don't see it.
Okay, because actually why I asked you that question, there are some people who have actually been saying, you see, when you look at the G7 and the European Union, especially the G7, what they say is what the entire world should, you know, go according to. And they thought probably NAM, maybe because they did not understand it very well. That's why they thought probably these least developed countries may suffer under NAM generally. That's why I ask you that question.
You see, if we were discussing G77 plus China, my response maybe would be different. But this is particularly on NAM. The power dynamics are not as threatening like if you are discussing a G77 plus China.
All right, Professor. Now, 6 years ago, when I think the global North, when it surrendered, you know, colonies to manage their own affairs, things were different. But now, even 60 years later, why are they still accusing the global North of problems that they are faced with?
You see, sometimes there are certain factors you cannot ignore. you may try as much as possible as a developing country like Uganda, but there is what we call external factor. And we can give an analysis basing on Tanzania. Tanzania had good leadership right from independence. Tanzania, they united and have one language. Tanzania has not had civil wars like we had in Uganda. But why is Tanzania not as developed as Singapore? You see? One would say Uganda is lagging behind because we have been fighting, we have had these wars, but Tanzania, which has not had those internal challenges at the level of Uganda, is not as developed. It means the external factor is still very critical. Look at, we are still raw material producing. Now, you see, when you attempt to industrialize or do certain things, you have certain limitations. You have certain limitations. So the external factor which still links our economies to the developed north, and then the unequal relationship in terms, you go to WTO, World Trade Organization, at the World Bank, at the IMF, at the United Nations. What is the voice of Africa and most of the non-aligned countries? What is the voice? Those are serious international organizations where important decisions are made. So when you have an equal relationship, when there is a power imbalance there, it affects on how faster you move. So what non-aligned movement need to do is to see certain things you can do on your own without depending on the other. Like I've given an example of an attempt to form a bank, World Bank.
Yes.
BRICS, the BRICS. I think, and I support that. It is in the right direction. Non-aligned movement can also begin to share technology. Science and technology is very critical in the transformation of societies. And some of the non-aligned countries have moved a step in terms of technology. Brazil, if you look at how they do their sugar chain, the coffee. If you look at how India is doing in the terms of manufacturing.
Yes.
So it means developing countries can learn from each other through exchange of science and technology and move a bit faster without relying on the developed north. This does not mean that we cut off our relationship. For us, when we are teaching our students on the dependency theory, some of those alternatives would be, should we cut the umbilical cord between the north and south? I'm not advocating for that. In a global world, I think that is not the right direction to take. But there can be network of south to south, especially in the area of science and technology. Even these issues of climate change, you can deal with climate change when you have advanced in science and technology. How you can be able, if you are telling your peasants that let's keep our forests on, you must give them an alternative. You must be faster to develop certain seedlings which can be resistant of certain diseases so that people can plant them and they grow very fast. But by just telling them don't cut trees, it affects our environment, that will not work. What are you giving in alternative for them to know that if I do this, I will benefit? That requires science and technology. Again, I want to relate it with also trade. You know, we are promoting markets here in East Africa, COMESA, but the money we need is to tap into the global political economy.
Exactly.
The global political economy. You see, if you asked me areas like Uganda, I would say coffee. Coffee is on high demand in China and other areas. If we developed our coffee to a level of value addition that it is well demand, it can bring money very fast, even before the oil comes. Tourism. You see?
And actually, that's why we're even having a business forum.
Yes, because before COVID, it was very clear that tourism was ahead in terms of bringing money to the economy. In most cases, citizens, including even policymakers, they concentrate on the expenditure side of the budget. I want to do this, I want to do this. You want to do it, but where is the money coming from? you must look at the side of income. So non-aligned countries must see what are those areas in the economy that can bring money faster to boost the side of the income. That's when your budget will make sense. So tourism comes in handy because scientifically we have observed just before COVID that it was bringing in money. And this is where I would invest. If I was in charge of government, yes, I'm a member of parliament, but proposals come from the executive, sometimes with the ceiling. But if I was from the executive, I would open the ceiling, for example, of our investments in tourism.
In tourism.
Because I know in 1 year, you will have the investment is very, what we call high investment returns. This will bring money quickly. Coffee. The other time we had a very strong debate with the executive where there was a proposal to allow one investor to be in charge of coffee. We said no. I belong to a committee of tourism, trade and industry. We said no.
Yeah, we saw you.
Let's promote, we can promote a consortium, 1-2 consortium, and they compete, and they add value to coffee, and we penetrate the global market. The global market, beginning with NAM countries. But you see, when you have a good product, it will not be resisted. Even in the developed north, even in the United States, if it is good coffee, they will look for it. There will be no barrier for it. So NAM brings an opportunity, like for Uganda, to show a case what you are capable to do. If people were hearing negative things about Uganda, this is an opportunity for us. I expect, like Uganda Tourism Board, to produce some documentaries, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, which people can watch in their rooms where they stay, televisions, you know.
Exactly.
Like here, so that people who are relaxing, they are not in conferences, they are looking, they have a tour of Uganda within 30 minutes. They see what Uganda can offer.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's very. Oh, thank you so much, Professor, and very, very key points that Professor has highlighted on there, and especially tourism. And remember earlier on, I had told you about this business, the East African Community Business and Investment Forum that is taking place at Serena. But right about now, I'll be coming back to the professor later on. But let's go live to Entebbe, where we expect the President of South Sudan to have jetted into the country. That is Entebbe International Airport, and we understand the President of South Sudan, Salva Kiir, has arrived, and he has come to be part of the other delegations that are here in Uganda to attend the 19th Non-Aligned Movement Summit 2024 that's taking place at the Rwenzori Convention Center in Munyonyo. He's one of the high-profile delegates or visitors who are here, who have actually come, who have arrived in the country to attend this summit, and we expect so many other presidents and delegations, high-profile personalities also to be coming to attend this summit. But on your screen, as you can see there, that is Entebbe International Airport, and any moment, we should be seeing His Excellency Salva Kiir, President of South Sudan, to be getting off his plane to be, hosted to a guard of honor in his honor, of course, as he is welcomed to Uganda. And of course, Ugandans were very, very good at hospitality. We should be #1 in the world in as far as hospitality is concerned. We have these smiles all over our faces whenever we have new guests or visitors. So that is what you've just been seeing. People lined up. There was some dancing earlier on, and of course we expect that to happen again. When the president comes, to welcome him, to to give him a feel-good feeling to be in the country, as he also plans to join other heads of state and delegations for this 19th NAM Summit 2024. But also we have got other venues where we are stationed as UBC. We have Munyonyo, that is the Rwenzori Convention Center, where we have Timothy Nyangweso on standby to give us everything as it unfolds at Entebbe International Airport. Unfortunately, there are some restricted areas where we cannot reach, where even our reporter Onyango or Mark Wadulo cannot reach. But we shall give you whatever we get, whatever we manage to reach, we shall be there and we shall get you everything as it unfolds. So that is one of the highlights at Entebbe International Airport, the arrival of President Salva Kiir of South Sudan. But let's, as that one takes place at Entebbe, let's come back here to the auditorium and continue discussing with Honorable Professor Mushemeza Elijah Dickens, who is a professor of political science and a member of parliament, Shema South constituency. And we're looking at, this non-aligned movement summit vis-a-vis what people should expect, especially business. Because believe you me, what we should actually be expecting to benefit more is business. I mean, when you look at our hotels in Kampala today, because of the so many, delegations that have come, more than 500 delegates into the country. So our hotel industry is probably doing so well at the moment. Tourism industry, in as much as they are still having this conference, and also will be waiting until the end of the G77 plus China summit. But I believe some of these people will have to go out of Kampala, go to visit other places, and that is how the tourism sector, as Professor Mushemeza has just been saying, will also benefit from NAM. So there are direct benefits and also those indirect benefits that will accrue from this summit. Yes, Professor, back to you. Of course, there is a new, I should call it a new wave of neo-colonialism. And are you seeing many of these, global South countries, surviving, as we are seeing a new scramble for, and partition of Africa between China and India versus the global North?
You see, when we talk of neo-colonialism, our listeners, our watchers, they need to understand it first.
What it is.
Otherwise, we shall just use the high academic intellectual concepts, which they may. Neo-colonialism, we mean that a colonizer has physically withdrawn, but the network and systems built
Are still in place.
Are still there. If you look at most of Western African countries who are still tied to the French franc, and their reserves are in the French banks. If you followed the arguments of the coup makers in some of these West African countries, looking at their minerals, what they were getting from it, very little, that's a very clear of neo-colonialism. The colonizer, physically, okay, they had some military bases, but they are not in charge of your administration. But the system built, if it is not broken, you are still tied to them. And this is where NAM comes very important. Even when there is what seemingly is a neutral institution like the UN, look at how many years the United Nations peacekeeping force has been in DRC. You wonder what kind of contribution they have made. One would not hesitate to think that maybe they were there to exploit the minerals. I totally agree with President Tshisekedi to say
Enough is enough.
enough is enough, let them go. Look at, just few months UPDF was there. Collaboration between, a bilateral cooperation between Uganda and DRC.
DRC.
What UPDF was able to do. The UN could not do it in almost
So many years.
So many years. So that is neocolonialism. So if under NAM we encourage cooperation between countries, the countries which are a little bit better economically can also finance blocs like East African Community, like SADC. Countries in NAM that have a little bit economic power, they can support these blocs like East African Community. If Uganda is building roads in DRC in order to encourage trade, a country that is in advanced with good technology can support Uganda in opening a road in DRC. So the elements of neocolonialism are there, but they can be broken. Our leaders have a role to play to wake up. That's why I'm saluting President Tshisekedi to say enough is enough. This is the time now to support DRC to build its security apparatus, both the military and the intelligence agencies, so that they can be in control. Because there are those minerals really which are very rare and they are found in DRC. DRC minerals, if exploited, can transform that country within 5 years.
To a developed nation. Actually.
Yes, to a developed nation. So elements of neocolonialism should be broken. But you cannot break them alone. The other big brothers or uncles can easily crush you, either as a leader or there are many ways. So you need a network. You need the support from each other. And non-aligned is a strong force. It is bigger than EAC, it is bigger than SADC, it is bigger than African Union. So this is a center, this is an organization that can help us. Let me use the concept of neutralization.
Exactly.
It can help us to neutralize the element of neocolonialism. Because neocolonialism cannot just disappear overnight in 5 years or 10 years. But with networks, collaboration in science and technology, you can neutralize the elements of neocolonialism.
Professor, thank you so much for having brought out that point of, and putting it so rightly that President Tshisekedi has actually said, no, enough is enough. Because, it's not like we are saying it, it's there. History has it, and documentation is available that the UN agencies that have been in the DRC for quite a long time have actually plundered that nation. And I think, and you clearly put it, the UPDF, joining hands with FARDC, they have done a very, very commendable job within a very short time. And I think that is what all African countries should actually be focusing on, saying if this has to happen, if we have to solve a crisis here, then we should come together. We should put our egos aside, by the way, because that is one thing that has actually affected, collaboration in this region, East African Community region. So I think our egos should be put aside. And Professor, I'll be coming back to you. Let's go to Entebbe and the plane there. That is that plane there is probably the one bringing President Salva Kiir of South Sudan. That is the president we expect right now, because you can even see the people there, the flag. We expect him to be, the plane has just touched down at Entebbe International Airport. He's one of the first, presidents to arrive here for this summit. And we should also let you know, by the way, our viewer, that in as much as we expect more than 30 heads of state, some of them may be in attendance, and they will be in attendance for sure. But we might not be able to give you coverage of their arrival because of security concerns and the protocol. So those that we give to you, definitely those ones we are able to freely, tell you that President so-and-so has arrived, Vice President so-and-so has arrived for this summit, although some we may not be able to tell you. But we do expect more than 30 heads of state to be coming to come and participate in this summit. Of course, Uganda is very good at hospitality, and there they're dancing. Guys are dancing, getting ready to welcome the president of South Sudan, because we're saying South Sudan because he is the one we expect at this hour to be landing at the airport. He's here and his delegation to be part of the Non-Aligned Movement Summit 2024, which is proudly being hosted by Kampala. And of course, most of these presidents were at the invitation of President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni to come and be part of this very, very key and important conference or summit here in Uganda. That's the Non-Aligned Movement Summit 2024. Yes, that's the Minister of State for Defense. Both should be the one receiving President Salva Kiir, and those are our Ugandan dancers who are very smart and ready. They are ready to welcome the president. And this is a plus, as I said. This is a plus for Uganda as a nation to host such a big event. Not only that one, but also shortly after this, we shall, when this one concludes on Friday or thereabouts, then we shall be having the G77 plus China summit that will also be taking place here in Kampala. Same venue, that is Munyonyo. And that is the plane on your screen. That is taxiing the president. We should be able to get everything, to see the president get off the plane shortly, the moment it comes to a complete halt. And then we shall be giving you everything as it unfolds at the airport there. And of course, probably the professor here can also chip in. When you look at the airport today, more than 100 planes. The other day, we were told by the head of security and aviation at Entebbe International Airport that we can handle more than that. Probably this is something that we should be happy about also, because formerly it was a small airport.
Oh yes, recently I was in Zambia and also in Gaborone in Botswana. They have improved their airports, but you see the traffic, even the population around the airports is very low.
Oh yes.
So I have been to Entebbe even before this summit. I think we are receiving more people through Entebbe International Airport. So with this upgrade, it gives even confidence to visitors elsewhere that, look, now, every good thing comes with, you upgrade Entebbe, now it demands for other airports within the country.
Yes.
Because now it has a multiplier effect. We should be looking at now Guru, yes, Hoima is about to The Kabare International Airport is about Kabare, whatever they call it, is about to be completed. But we should be looking at Guru, should be upgrading Kasese, should be upgrading Kisoro. Because now, if the tourists now are in Entebbe, the next is to. I'm told now, the private entrepreneurs, they charge $400 from Entebbe to Kisoro and back. More expensive than going to Dubai.
And that is one of the things that has actually been affecting, tourism in the country.
So really, I applaud the government for having upgraded Entebbe International Airport. It's very exciting. It's very smart, very neat. You can see even our dancers. But we need to move now a step further.
Yes, exactly. Because actually, as we also await the embarkment of President Salva Kiir from that Ethiopian Airlines plane to be greeted by the Minister of State for Defense, both to welcome him. We also would like to tell you that we expect other heads of state and a delegation to be jetting into the country later today and throughout the whole night and even early morning Thursday, because as you are aware, this summit officially opens tomorrow. We expect President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni to be the chief guest, and also we shall be expecting him to be given the instruments of power as he'll be taking over as chair of NAM from Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan has been Azerbaijan has been the chair person, and now we expect President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni to be taking over, and Uganda being at Munyonyo, that is Rwenzori Convention Center. And as we have already done since day one, we've been giving you, as UBC, everything that has been unfolding, because we are the official broadcaster of NAM Summit 2024 happening here in Uganda, and we are proud of everything that has been happening, and we're proud of everything that, as UBC, what we have done for you. And of course, that angle is a little bit far. You cannot see exactly who is coming down right now, but we expect to get a close angle of that shot, and we'll see the person who has just gotten off the plane. But as we said, we expect him to be the South Sudanese President Salva Kiir, who has come to be to join his fellow heads of state in this very, very important and key summit, that is the Non-Aligned Movement Summit 2024, being held here in Uganda, the Pearl of Africa. And yes, as we said, we've also got our colleague Timothy Nyangweso at the convention center itself in Munyonyo, and later on we'll be going back to him. We'll be going to him to get an update of what has actually taken place, what is going on, and what we expect to have on day 4 of this summit. Also, before this, we were at Serena, where there is an East African Community Business and Investment Forum that's taken place. And of course, as you've also heard from my studio guest, Professor Shebeza Elijah Dixon, Dickens, telling us more about what Ugandans should expect, what Ugandans can actually benefit from this summit. And one of the key things he brought out was tourism, and also a few moments ago he talked about how we can actually improve further on the tourism sector, and that is by upgrading the regional airports. He talked about Kisoro, talked about Kasese, there is also Gulu, and this is very true, because when you look at our neighbors in Kenya, they have got these domestic flights that take people. You don't have to, to pay afresh for a service or for a service provider to take you from Jomo Kenyatta International Airport or wherever to your destination, and as far as tourism is concerned, they just go from the airport directly to their tourist destination. And that is what Uganda should also be looking at implementing. And it is possible because with the expansion of Entebbe International Airport and the traffic that's coming through that airport, it is increasing every other time. Now the president, on your screen there, you can see that the president is being received, and we are getting that is those are live scenes. That's a live footage from Entebbe International Airport, and he's going to inspect a guard of honor, of course, mounted by the UPDF and Uganda Police Force. You know, in his respect, he's still greeting the dignitaries that are at the airport to receive him. And yes, he's a friend of the nation. He's been here several times, but now he's here for this very, very important summit. That is the Non-Aligned Movement Summit 2024. And yes, we'll be talking later on with the professor about you know, blocks, their importance and development of their respective countries, but also are they relevant, of what relevance are they today in as far as NAM is concerned. But yes, South Sudan is is a member state of the East African Community, and we are very, very proud of President Salva Kiir to be here today in Uganda to attend this very important summit, the 19th Non-Aligned Movement Summit. And yes, those of you just joining us, this is UBC TV, the official broadcaster of the 19th Non-Aligned Movement Summit. We are coming to you live on air and online from Broadcast House here on Nile Avenue. And right now we are live at Entebbe International Airport, where we've just received President Salva Kiir of South Sudan. He's there waving to the dancers, and yes, that is the plane that just brought him. Yes, as I said, he's here to attend this very, very important 19th NAM Summit 2024. We expect the president from Entebbe International Airport. He will be given an escort. He'll be given an escort to his hotel, and then we expect him to be at Munyonyo tomorrow, where he'll join other heads of state and delegations to be part of the official opening of the 19th Non-Aligned Movement Summit 2024. And we expect President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni to be the chief guest there, and he's the one who will officially open that summit. And we also expect, because Uganda is the host, so we expect the country to take over as the chair, and President Yoweri Museveni will be taking over as the chairman and taking over from Azerbaijan. And Azerbaijan, we would like to take this opportunity to thank them for the great work that they have done in the last 3 years, and the rules of the non-aligned movement that the chairmanship is on for 3 years, and then it's handed over to the next person. That is what is happening at Entebbe International Airport. We have just received President Salva Kiir of South Sudan. He'll be here. He will be here to attend this summit. But let's also, we shall be going back to Serena later on, or in a short while. Yeah, but I understand word coming in is that they might have already concluded the business forum, but for us, we still have a lot. We still have a lot that we can give unto you, and we are going to give to you in as far as this NAM Summit is concerned. And in the auditorium, I am with none other than Professor Mushemeza Elijah Dickens, who is a professor of political science and also a member of parliament for Shema South constituency. And let's get back here, because we still have some things to discuss with the professor as you continue to watch what is happening at Entebbe International Airport, although we've already received the President Salva Kiir of South Sudan. Now, Professor, let me come back to you. And of course, you touched a little bit on what I was actually going to ask you. We've got all these, blocks. We've got the African Union, we've got the European Union, we've got NATO, among other blocks. Now, of course, these have financial, quorum, I would say. They have got financial muscle, and but NAM seems to lack a commercial, a commercial arm that can actually support all the things that they would need to do. And of course, do you think, in your view, their resolutions be implemented without financial support?
It is possible to
his the official opening of NAM, of the 19th NAM Summit 2024 tomorrow at the Rwenzori Convention Center in Munyonyo. Those of you just joining us, that is Entebbe International Airport, and we are live there. That's a live feed from the airport, and President Salva Kiir of South Sudan just jetted into the country a few moments ago, and that is the motorcade that will be leading him, that will be taking him to his hotel, and we also expect him to be joining other heads of state and government delegations tomorrow at the convention center, at Rwenzori Convention Center, Munyonyo, to attend the 19th NAM Summit 2024. We expect other presidents, of course, to be in attendance tomorrow, and we'll give you tomorrow's program later on in the day, but we do expect a lot to be taking place tomorrow. We could even call it the D-Day, because that is when this 19th NAM Summit 2024 officially opens here in Uganda. We expect more delegations to be coming into the country today. It is still a little bit early. It is just 3:30, I would say, 3:33 p.m. Here in our studios, but we expect more people to be coming, to be jetting into the country later on in the afternoon, in the evening, and throughout the night, and then also probably early morning before the summit officially opens. So we expect more than 5,000 delegates to be attending this conference, and that this summit rather, and that is the car that's taking President Salva Kiir. Is in there. You've just had a sneak peek of him, and yes, that is security. His security detail that is to escort him all the way from Entebbe to Kampala or wherever he'll be going to spend the night. And yes, those are our able-bodied members of security and other members of his delegation who are also in those other vehicles. So President Salva Kiir of South Sudan is the latest that has arrived in the country to be part of this summit. And we thank you, of course, you, the viewer, who has been with us ever since we started this conference, the live updates and everything that we have been giving you. And of course, we have about 103 delegates who have arrived today from 35 countries. Now this now takes the total number of delegates to 674 from more than 105 countries as on the 16th of January 2024 at 18 hours, that is at 6, that was yesterday actually. So we definitely must have received many more delegates into this into the country. We've also got we shall be having an update from our colleague Owadulo Mark Arnold. He had an interview earlier on with one of the guests that have come to be part of this very, very important summit, and that is Geraldo Penalver Portal, who is the first Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of Cuba, and he's also the permanent representative to the UN. Cuba's permanent representative to the UN will be having that update as we continue with the coverage of this 19th NAM Summit. My name is Rukidi Edward Kijanangoma, those of you just joining us, and I'm still with the professor, the big man, the professor of political science. It's not very simple to be a political scientist, but he is a professor of political science, and also he has another hat that he wears. He's a member of Parliament for Shema South constituency, and that is Honorable Professor Mushemeza Elijah Dickens. Professor, I don't want to hold you here for more than what is necessary, but you were still talking about these blocks, the importance, and but let me ask you finally, as a person, as this 19th NAM Summit 2024 takes place here in Uganda, what would be your expectation from this summit?
First of all, I expect our government immediately after to make an evaluation and take stock in the key areas where we expect to reap benefits. We have already talked of trade, we have talked of tourism, we have talked of improving our foreign policy, and see how this NAM has put us in a strategic. We have invested in a conference center, for example. Parliament provided money. We must utilize this conference center by attracting international conferences. That will make Entebbe also active. And even the internal immediate benefits you are talking about. That conference is very expensive, is very good, and you may find very few of them in Africa. So instead of having so many conferences in Addis Ababa, this is an opportunity for us. So when we take stock and see how we have positioned ourselves, then I will know that we are really reaping the benefits we expected. So that is my expectation, number one, to do an evaluation and take advantage. We don't allow the vibe to go down, if we are to use the language of the youth these days. These conferences are bringing vibe, being followed by G77. That's another plus. This is a time for people to understand why we even passed a law on homosexuality. That we are saying being a homosexual itself is not a crime. But if you use your homosexuality to affect our youth, then that is a crime. People must understand us. And it is also a plus to show that we can be very firm on our values. But the greatest achievement is to make sure that those areas which bring income, we continue to invest in them. For example, we are now in the first stage of a budget. We are considering the budget framework paper.
Yes.
My committee, we have already identified the areas which we call unfunded priorities. We need to strengthen Uganda Tourism Board because it is the one that is going to market Uganda. Uganda Tourism Board, Uganda Export Board, to know that there is this conference. I know they have a program like Hidden Uganda. Let the whole world know our conference center, know what is here. After these conferences, the marketing should be very, very, very aggressive. And that needs money. So if I'm the government, I will open the ceiling for the Minister of Tourism.
Give him some extra more money.
The ceiling they had given, because now in the budget framework paper, they are providing the same amount of money like this ongoing financial year. That is wrong. When you are going to host these conferences, you provide money the same as last year, rather this financial, the ongoing financial year. That is wrong because these conferences are opening opportunities, which means you need to budget more to invest in the infrastructure of trade and tourism because your country has been exposed. But that's why I was saying, how can the executive bring the same amount of money, the same as the current year, when we have not hosted these conferences. You see? But we are there. We are going to continue to sound the bell that this is the time to give more money to Uganda Tourism Board, which does the marketing. If you look at the marketing of tourism, you compare Egypt, Tanzania,
Yes.
Rwanda, and what we put in terms of marketing our tourist sites, we are far, far below.
Oh, yes.
So how can you maintain the same budgetary like the current year when we had not? You see?
Yes,
This
yes.
is how you need to think very far. So my expectation is for the government in this budget process we are in to open up the ceiling in those areas which we know have high investment returns, so that we put in more money and we seize the momentum, and by doing that we shall be attracting more foreign exchange. When you attract more foreign exchange and you increase your income side of the budget, and you check corruption
Exactly, because
as an intervening variable,
I was actually going to ask you, but
yes,
now you are tackling it.
and check corruption, because corruption is threatening to capture the state.
And that is why we actually don't achieve a lot of things that we have planned for.
So once we have done this and attracted for, we check corruption as an intervening variable, we are going to see as a dependent variable service delivery going up. Because as a researcher, you know, we talk of independent variable, intervening variable, and the outcome, the
Yes.
dependent variable. So service delivery, if we conceptualize it as a dependent variable, has also a link with the intervening variable of checking corruption.
And I think that one to be achieved is it's about you know, the political will, but also engaging the general public, because I can assure you, Professor, this monster called corruption, and you people, you're the people who put in the laws that govern this country. We have got several initiatives in place to curb corruption, but some people have even they have actually feared to come and invest in our country because they know there is so much corruption. No one will do anything.
There is an area where His Excellency the President was skeptical about, but to me, I consider it is very critical. What we call lifestyle audit. You know, somebody earns 700,000, is a public officer like you.
It has mansions and
You have not taken any loan, because a loan can be observed, can be identified.
yes.
You are not engaged in export-import business. So where have you got the money to put up various apartments? Where have you got it from? Now, if we carried lifestyle audit, we would be able to find that many people have money, public officers and politicians, which is not explained. And that's how we'll begin to say, let this one go back to the public purse, to the treasury. But the major challenge we have in Uganda now is who would bail the cat?
And Professor, that is that is a
Who would
debate
bail the cat?
for another day, because
Yes.
the issue of corruption, we
Yes.
can discuss it until the cows come back home.
Yes.
But viewer, that has been Professor Honorable Professor Mushemeza Elijah Dickens. He's a professor of political science, but also a member of Parliament, Shema South constituency. Probably before I send you off, any other final word to Ugandans, to the view of UBC, in as far as this NAM summit is concerned? You've already told us your expectations, but what other message would you like to convey
First
to
of all,
Ugandans?
I want to commend UBC. At one time, at Parliament, we were very skeptical about UBC.
Pulling it off.
Yes, we even some members of Parliament thought we could even attach it to some other government departments like New Vision and others. But I must say, you have really come up. You are doing a very good job.
Thank you.
You have the best infrastructure in the country. So what we need to do is to continue to attract high-profile guests, to continue to promote UBC, because your mandate is also different from the mandate of these other private service providers. But you are doing very well. Keep up.
Thank
That
you,
is for
Professor.
Secondly, as a country, I must say, citizen, this is an opportunity for us to take advantage of the vibe and the momentum created by first the speakers and presiding officers conference from the Commonwealth, now the NAM and the G77. I have seen the smartness of our police officers. That smartness should be maintained. It should not go with the conferences. The seriousness of our people to welcome visitors, it should continue. Let's take advantage of this momentum, and as we go into the production stage of oil, we also take advantage and get involved. Let's engage in domestic tourism. We don't have to wait for visitors abroad. And also let us work on the issue of quality. It is not enough just to produce, but what type of product are you producing? If you produce a quality product, even marketing becomes easier. The whole world will come for that product. So those who are in the manufacturing, let's do the issue of quality. Our quality product will penetrate the global market, and it will earn us the foreign exchange we badly need. Our image has been improved through this. Our foreign policy, which is a reflection of domestic policy, is up. Let's maintain the momentum.
Thank you so much, Honorable Professor Mshemeza Elijah. It's been a pleasure actually hosting you here. And viewer, we've come to the end of this interview, but also in between there, we were giving you updates of what's happening at Entebbe International Airport. Also, we had an update at Serena Hotel, where we had that East African Community Business and Investment Forum. But also there is what is still going on at the Rwenzori, at the Rwenzori Convention Center, where we'll be giving updates. This is not the end of day 3. We are still going on, and we'll also be going back to Entebbe later on to see who has landed into the country to join the other delegations that have already arrived here. But also we shall be getting an update from our reporter Wadulo Mark Andold, who has been interfacing with the Cuban Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister and also permanent representative to the UN, and we can see on our split screen that he is ready to give us that interview. But I'll say goodbye to Professor. Goodbye, and enjoy that program.
Thank you.
G77 Summit. We're here at the VIP lounge in Entebbe International Airport, and we are going to be catching up with some of the delegates that have come to, attend these 2 summits, and perhaps get insights on what we expect to hear in the summit. So you're very welcome, sir. How was your flight to Uganda? Perhaps let's kick it from there.
The flight was nice. Thank you for having us here today. And the hospitality of the Ugandan people, we can notice here at the airport. We have received a very warm welcome. And we are glad to be here. The Cuban delegation is chaired by our Vice President. He will arrive very soon. Our Foreign Minister is already here in Kampala. And we are very glad to participate in both the Non-Aligned Movement Summit and the 3rd South Summit. For Cuba, both of these organizations, they play a very important role in the Global South and in the Third World. And now Uganda is going to play a very important role, assuming the chairmanship of both G77 and the Non-Aligned Movement. Cuba is actually the chairman of the G77. We will hand over the chairmanship to Uganda at the beginning of the summit, and we will work together with the Ugandan government to make this summit a success.
So I would like to know, from your perspective, hosting these 2 summits in Uganda, what does that look like from the international scene? First and foremost, the the vote of confidence that Uganda should host these summits is something that we do not take lightly, and I would love to know what your thoughts are from that perspective.
Yes. Well, it's a great challenge to host both summits of the G77 and the non-aligned movement. But as you mentioned, Uganda is prepared to assume this important challenge, and we are sure that both summits are going to be very successful. We are 134 countries members of the G77 and 120 members of the non-aligned movement. It's very relevant, these two summits in a very important time in the international relations. So we expect that there are going to be fruitful debates and political declaration from both South Summit and Non-Aligned Movement Summit. We expect also that the issue of Palestine, of course, will be in the center of the debate because of the situation in Palestine, because of the more than 100 days of bombing, of massacre against the Palestinian people. And we are prepared to be together with Uganda and other countries of the South to celebrate these two important summits. And the outcomes, the most important is that the outcome of these two summits will help the developing world, will help to face important challenges like the poverty, like will help to face the challenge of to have more unity within our movement, to also to work together for the fulfillment of the SDGs, the social development goals, and the Agenda 2030. And in general, we expect fruitful debates and very solid and important results. And we really thank and congratulate the Ugandan government for the way they organize these two summits. And we are very glad to be here today.
So, of course, the Global South, most of the countries are highly indebted. And also knowing that G77 and plus China, then also the NAM summit also will be addressing both economic and some political objectives. But I would like to know, in the perspective of debt management, what do you think is the way forward for developing countries, of course in the advent of climate change and the likes? How do we address, say, debt burden in countries that are developing?
It's a very important question, and this will be one of the main issues of the South Summit, because there is a need to reform the international financial architecture. There is a need to reform the organizations that today are leading the financial international architecture. There is a need to provide debt relief. There is a need to provide cooperation to the countries of the South. There is need to also to cooperate in the environmental issues and the climate change. We had recently the COP28 in Dubai, which was a successful conference, but there is much to be done. We have here with us our chairman of the G77, and he could go more in details in these issues.
Thank you very much, sir. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's Mr. Geraldo Penalva Porto, the first Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and Permanent Representative in the United Nations. Yes, join us for more exclusive interviews we'll be sharing with you later on.